Welcome to Lesson 01. Today we're going to be talking about representing functions. Some vocab terms for this section. The first one we have is domain, and that's going to be the set of all of the first coordinates, or our x coordinates from the ordered pairs. Our second term is range, and that is the set of all of the second coordinates, or y coordinates from the ordered pairs. Our third term is a quadrant, equal fourth of a coordinate plane. So over here you see our coordinate plane drawn, and then quadrant 1 is in the top right, and then 2, 3, and 4 go counterclockwise around the coordinate plane. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. Mapping describes how each element in the domain is paired with an element in the range, so it tells you how x gets to y. And finally, a function is a relation in which each element of the domain is paired with exactly one element of the range. So each x only has one y that goes with it. When we are asked to state the domain and range of a relation, there's a couple of rules that we need to follow. First of all, when we're listing out values, we always go from smallest to largest. And second of all, we never repeat numbers. So even if a number shows up more than once in the domain or the range, we still only list it once. So for this first example here, if I want to list all the values of the domain, I want to list all of the x values. So I've got a -3, a 0, a 1, and a 2. So when I list them all, I want to go from smallest to largest. So -3, 0, 1, 2. None of them repeat themselves, so I don't have to worry about that. And this is how we write it. Same thing with the range. I want to list all of the y values. So I've got 3, -7, -5, and 4. And I'm going to put them in order from smallest to largest. So -7 will go first, then -5, then 3, and then 4. Go ahead and give the second example a try. So pause the video, get the domain and range, then go ahead and hit play and see how you did. Alright, so as you can see, for our domain values, we've got the numbers -3, 2, 1, and -6. So putting those in order from smallest to largest, we would have -6, -3, 1, and then 2. Those are our values for our domain. For the range, we have the numbers 5, 1, 5, and -4. Putting those in order from smallest to largest, we would say -4, 1, and 5. You'll notice how, even though there's two 5s listed in the ordered pairs, we still only put it once when we state the range. When you're asked to name the quadrant where a point is located, the thing to keep in mind is what are the signs of your x and y coordinates. Whether they're positive or negative will tell you what quadrant a certain point sits at. So if we start at quadrant 1, we would know a point is in quadrant 1 if the x is positive and the y is positive. So if they're both positive, it sits in quadrant 1. In order for a point to sit in quadrant 2, our x would have to be negative and our y would have to be positive. Quadrant 3, both x and y are negative. And in quadrant 4, our x is positive and our y is negative. So with that in mind, if we were asked to find where the point -8, 5 is, you'll notice the x is negative, the y is positive, so therefore we would say that it sits in quadrant 2. So now what I want you to do, I've given you the point 4, -3. Pause the video, tell me what quadrant it sits in, then go ahead and hit play and see how you did. Okay, as you can see, our x value is positive, our y value is negative, and that only happens in quadrant 4. The last thing we're going to be talking about in this section, we're going to bring back identifying domain and range, but then once we've done that, we're going to determine if it's a function or not. So to start out with, Domain and range is the same the way we did it before. Domain, all of the x values, so I've got -1, 2, 3, -2, and 0. I want to put those in order from smallest to largest. So I've got -2, -1, 0, 2, and 3. Range, I'm going to take all my y values, 3, 5, 3, 5, and 1, and I'm going to put them in order from smallest to largest. I've got 1, 3, and 5. Again, remember, if it shows up more than once, we only have to list it once. So the last thing that we have to do is figure out if it's a function or not. Okay, so function is determined by our domain values. Okay, if any of our domain values are the same, it's not a function. So if we look here, we've got a -1, 2, 3, -2, and 0. None of those numbers are the same, so I can say that this is a function. Okay. Pause the video, do the second example, and then go ahead and hit play and see how you do. Okay, so as we can see, our domain values from smallest to largest, we've got -2, 4, 6, and 7. Our range values from smallest to largest, we have 2, 3, 5, 7, and 10. Once that's done, to determine whether it's a function or not, I look at my domain values or my x values. And you'll notice that I've got 2 4s here, and each 4 goes to a different number. Okay, that can't happen in a function. So therefore, we do not have a function.